This is our May prosperity call, and really appreciate Christina and Cindy joining us as well to talk about the SPURR Initiative through the Wyoming Department of Wyoming DEQ and Ayers Associates. So with that, I will just introduce Christina, and maybe you and Cindy can give a quick introduction of your roles, and then we can get into the presentation.
Yeah, great, thanks. Cindy, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Sure, that's fine. Hi all, thank you for the invitation to participate in your call today. I'm Cindy Martinez. I'm the Brownfields and Orphan Program Supervisor at DEQ, and we're working with Ayers for our SPURR initiative that's funded by a community-wide assessment grant awarded by EPA in 2022.
And I'm Christina Hegel. I am with Ayers Associates and have worked with Cindy now for about, I don't know, a lot of years. On a lot of different things. And I'm actually an environmental engineer by trade, but I manage our development services group for the Western United States under Matt Ashby, as many of you know. And yeah, the SPURR Initiative is a lot of fun, so I'm excited to let you guys hear about it today.
Perfect. Well, thank you both. And yeah, if you just want to jump into the presentation, I don't know if there's a need to share a screen as well, we can do that, but we'll just get going. I will monitor the chat along the way. So if there are questions that folks have, I will jump in and sort of moderate that way. But otherwise, we'll kick it off.
All right. Sounds great. All righty. So today, Christina and I will describe our initiative. It's the State Partnership for Urban and Rural Redevelopment. And to date, since our contract became effective with Ayers in March of 2023, we've initiated, I think, right around 50 projects, and they're in varying stages of investigation and redevelopment and just all manner of different things going on. So we'll describe some of that. So Christina, could you advance? Yep. And so what is a brownfields? I'm not sure how many folks have seen this presentation in different formats or venues, but the EPA describes brownfield as real property, the expansion, the redevelopment or reuse of which is complicated by the presence or potential presence of hazardous substances, pollutants, or contaminants. And there's an estimated 450,000 brownfields in the US, but I imagine that number changes daily. So that's just an estimate. Next slide, please. So the SPURR initiative is simple. You know, we hope to increase the economic vitality of Wyoming's communities by enhancing environmental quality. And so we hope to launch the initiative to spark ideas and to connect with communities and other entities that are interested in redevelopment in their communities. Next one. This is just our little
welcome to SPURR, the State Partnership for Urban and Rural.
Can you guys hear the audio?
I can.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Welcome to SPURR, the State Partnership for Urban and Rural Redevelopment, brought to you by the State of Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality Brownfield Assistance Program. Nothing connects Wyoming people more than the places we spend our time, from our historic downtown main streets to the rail yards, factories, and business parks where we work, to the majestic mountains and plains. These places form the backdrop of our lives, connecting us to one another. As a grant-funded initiative of the Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality, our goal is simple: dig in our heels to increase the economic vitality of Wyoming's communities by enhancing environmental quality. Our focus is on brownfields, abandoned or underutilized properties that have known or suspected hazardous substances or contaminants present. There are many brownfields sprinkled across Wyoming, including some amazing sites that have been redeveloped into community gems, like the Roundhouse in Evanston. If you're a building owner, a business owner, or a property owner, let's look at options how this program might be able to help you. Environmental assessments can help determine if there's pollution and how to clean it up. And redevelopment roadmaps can include concept sketches, plans, and economic strategies to jumpstart revitalization. To date, we've helped numerous sites across Wyoming, including the Laramie Plains Civic Center, several sites in Rollins, including an old motel property, the Railroad Depot in Green River. We look forward to exploring how this program might benefit you. For more information on the program, please call, click, or email to explore how we can work together to spur Wyoming.
All right, cool. Thanks, Christina. Excuse me. So our program objectives include supporting infrastructure that stimulates the creation, boosts revenue, and keeps talented individuals, particularly we think kids, recent graduates in the state. The program also aims to address economic inequities in the state by assisting with the creation of affordable, clean housing where we can in target areas, and those target areas were Carbon County, Sweetwater County, and Laramie. But we could do work all over the state, and we have. So job creation and revenue, addressing brownfield sites, and promoting redevelopment and public-private partnerships are all goals of the program. And next one, Christina. So these amounts are also changing almost daily, but these were the original amounts of our grant funding. So the community-wide assessment grant originally was $2 million. To date, we've encumbered right around half of that for our various sites and various activities. We also have the Bipartisan Infrastructure and Investment and Job Act. We have one contract funded right now for currently, I think, $265,000. We have small community technical assistant grants, and those are project specific, but generally they're $20,000 and they can be used for feasibility studies, building envelope evaluations, things that could promote your site or your town, like story maps. So their use is various. We also have the revolving loan fund originally awarded in the amount of $800,000 plus $100,000 match from our program. And those revolving loan funds, they are for cleanup specifically. For example, asbestos and lead-based paint cleanup in buildings. And right now we can offer 0 interest loans for cleanup, and that includes private entities as well. And also cleanup funding, that's project specific. Our program does have some funding that we can put towards site cleanup. But if you have a larger site or your site is in need of a more expensive asbestos abatement project, let's say, the EPA does have cleanup grants available, and the cycle will begin this fall. And those grants, they're actually for quite a bit of money if you need them, and there is no match right now. So now's the time to apply for a cleanup grant from EPA if you need one this coming fall. Next slide, Christina, please. So what we hope to achieve through the program are creation of new jobs, removal of blight, which translates into removal of asbestos or lead-based paint, or for example, if you have old barrels or things like that that need to be cleaned up. So that's what we might consider to be blight. Cleaning up sites, redeveloping buildings, elevates the tax base. It brings the local community together, excitement about revitalization. Brownfields utilize existing infrastructure, which is a big plus. And of course, it promotes environmental health and safety too. Next one. So this is just our redevelopment process arc. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this sort of thing, but we hope to launch, develop a core team, engage folks, public meeting and outreach planning, generate local buy-in, which is very important, inform steering committees when necessary. We can help with area-wide planning, development plans, funding strategies such as resource roadmaps. We can assess phase 1 environmental site assessments, phase 2 the sampling process. We can work on analysis of brownfields cleanup alternatives, and that gives you a roadmap on how to clean up, what it might cost. We can do visioning workshops, 2D and 3D site sketches, which are very cool. You saw an example of that in that video a few moments ago. We can provide site redevelopment packets. And once you're on the other side of the arc, keep the momentum going, identify additional grant funding, find investors and investment opportunities, and keep the revitalization life cycle going. I mean, that's the goal.
Yeah, and just in case people aren't aware of what a phase 1 and a phase 2 is, phase 1 is non-invasive. So it's basically looking at all the historical background of the property to find out what's been done there. And then phase 2 would be invasive. So you're actually sampling soils or building materials.
Yes. Yeah, thanks, Christina. So our offered services include those phase 1 and phase 2s that Christina just mentioned, cleanup planning. We don't do community health assessments generally, but I mean, we could, I guess, if that were a need. We help locate and negotiate the cleanup grant low interest loan universe. We can help with planning code evaluations, land use assessments, the 3D site renderings and animation. The landscape architects that AIRS has on staff can do some pretty amazing things. We can do infrastructure evaluation, leveraging of funding resources evaluations, redevelopment, site reuse assessments, market viability, market studies, site disposition strategies, revitalization plans. And if you have ideas that aren't encompassed by this list, certainly we can explore those as well.
So basically anything that is on the planning, or if you have any type of structure or building that would be great if you could get it moving again, even if it's not owned by the community, if it's owned by a private owner and they're willing to give permission to work on it, we can come in and take a look at it. That includes structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing evaluations, have an engineer look at that, look at about anything that you can think of on the planning side that isn't specifically construction. And then we could also kind of help put a grant strategy together to get the construction pieces done. The only construction-ish piece that Cindy has available is both that loan and some grants for like removal of asbestos or lead.
Yeah, site cleanup. Yeah, we can actually do things like architectural design or, you know, engineering design. We can't actually do those, but we can get you to the point where maybe you might be ready to go to that next step. All right. How does it work? Well, sometimes it's not always that easy, but you can call us and tell us about your proposed project. We do need to have formal access to be on site for the phase 1 walkthrough and any phase 2 sampling. So we do need a formal access agreement signed, but it's 1 page. It's, you know, not that complicated. We do need to submit a site eligibility determination to our funder, who is EPA. They review it. So far 50+ projects, and we haven't been denied approval yet. So I think the odds are pretty good for approval. Once approved, AIRS and WWC submit a cost estimate to me. I write a task order, and then we'll start the work, put you in the queue, get things scheduled, and hopefully get results. The benefit to working with us is that there's no regulations. Our program is not regulatory. It's redevelopment focused. There's no cost match. You don't have to manage the contractors. You don't have to match any costs. You don't have to go through the contracting process. So hopefully the benefits are many. You might have to be a little patient with us because we do have a lot of things in the queue, and we do need to schedule things. So we're working through that list all the time. So
Yeah,
we'll-
and I will just kind of vouch for Cindy here. She is she's really easy to work with, and so you're not looking at DEQ as the regulatory DEQ agency in this case. You're looking at DEQ as a help, as a philanthropic helper in this case to help get projects moving in the communities to remove things, you know, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the projects we've worked on here in a second, but everything from you know, facilities that house children or, you know, that have childcare in them to facilities that are used for more industrial purposes. I think there's a little bit of everything there. So if you're, you know, I know some communities have come and said, hey, we have a facility that's being used as a nursery currently for young children and a daycare facility, and we're concerned about lead-based paint in there, or you know, or we need a place to house you know, homeless individuals. You know, can you help us assess this building? Or we have a building that just is continuing to cause issues for our downtown area. Help us take a look at it and figure out what we need to do. So a little bit of everything there. So here's a few projects Cindy can tell you about. Civic Center is one of them. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the Civic Center in Laramie. It was one of the first buildings really built in Laramie. It was the old East Side School. About 480,000 square feet on this building. So we can't do everything on it, but we're doing some. But everything from, we've had electrical engineers, plumbing, mechanical. They have some drainage and water issues they needed looked at. There's a structural evaluation that was done. They're also doing wayfind redevelopment and branding. There's an economic development proforma going in on some of the specific areas of the building. If you're familiar with it, there's a really cool coffee shop in there now. So they're kind of looking at ways they can activate around that space because people are visiting that space a lot, but also activating some of the gyms a little bit more in the Griffin Theater, looking at ways to use that as an activation space there. They had thousands and thousands of records on that building. Cindy, I would guess if we would looked at, I just the piles of pages. And so we were able to organize all of that information so they at least knew what they had in house and were able to have some kind of a database for all of that information on the building. A phase 1 asbestos evaluation is getting ready to get started on there. Also doing a grant strategy for them. So
yeah, and this building I think is fully occupied with tenants, and there's a lot of artists and artist space being utilized here. So I mean, it certainly does not, your building or your project doesn't have to be industrial or really commercial per se. So if you have a nonprofit or an arts centered project, we certainly want to support that wherever we can as well. Let's see, City of Laramie maintenance shop. Both of these sites are in one of our target areas, which is Laramie. And so we completed phase 1 environmental site assessments for the City of Laramie, and we have our documents ready. We just need further approval to get moving, and we'll go and we'll do a phase 2 and hopefully be able to provide that to the City of Laramie so that they can move forward with redevelopment. It's a pretty large site, so there's a lot of opportunity there. So we've provided some assistance on that.
and this site is slated for affordable housing units. As you guys know, Laramie's having, well, as many people are having a lot of problems with affordable housing.
Right. Yes. Let's see. So this is some concept boards that we did for the town of Hannah. We provided those for public feedback at King Coal Days last year. So there's just several, I think 3 concept boards. Let's see here. Yeah. So, and we did get some great public feedback. We can do things like this for events or for public meetings or just any kind of visioning session that you'd like to see. So there's, I think, 3. So concept 1, just a little bit different layout in all of the 3 concepts. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Another site that's just starting is the Laramie Elks Lodge. So, Christina, do you want to kind of give them the summary of this? You were just there.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, so the Elks
Yeah.
Lodge, you know, as many of these old lodges, we've also got a Masonic Lodge in Lander, which I can show you guys some pictures of that. These old lodges are now starting to have a lot of problems keeping membership. And so they're having trouble making their mortgage payments. And so they're trying to come up with new uses where they can rent out different pieces of the building for different uses. So many communities have these, but right now we're looking at doing similar to the Civic Center, a lot of different studies. And they're looking at things like affordable housing in the upstairs, as well as some rental for businesses in the middle floors, and then potentially it's like incubator restaurant or something to that effect in the downstairs where they have a full restaurant bar area. Let's see, there we go.
Yep. And so in Rollins, we've just completed some phase 2 sampling on 4 different properties in Rollins, a couple of hotels, the town downtown Ferguson building, the old Strand Theater, and those reports will be ready soon. We're also working with them to provide feasibility studies, and the city of Rollins actually has their own assessment grant as well. So there's a lot of activity in Rollins, and hopefully we'll be able to provide more details on that in future presentations. But there's another landscape drawing there that the Ayers landscape architects can provide, and that's just a good way to start conversation and have people start to think about what things could look like. Let's see, what's next, Christina?
Well, there's
Oh yeah, Strand and the Ferguson. Yep.
Yeah.
And we also did some asbestos sampling and operations and maintenance plans for the Casper Willard North Casper schools, and both of those projects are really worthy projects, and we were happy to contribute in some small way to moving those forward.
Yeah, those are really cool. They're looking to
cool.
do some training and actually have some like a training center for people that want to work more in like food,
like the food industry, I think.
Industry, yeah. So really cool projects. And I think maybe like a daycare and stuff.
I think daycare in one of them. So we felt that it was a really worthy project to make sure, especially food related or daycare where children are, to make sure that those buildings were safe, that we identified any asbestos and lead-based paint, so that they could reuse those buildings safely. In the Green River Depot, it's a good case study for brownfields. There was work done through the EPA for a phase 1, I believe, some phase 2. We also contributed funding for them as they work through their cleanup grant that was awarded from EPA. We did a building evaluation and envelope evaluation for them through a tag grant, and now we're looking at the roof and some structural issues through our program. So it's a good case study for what partnerships can look like through the Brownfields program. Hot Springs Airport, also another good case study for brownfields. Work done with EPA, with DEQ, with some of our grant funding currently, and also outside of that through our brownfields program with a state contract as well. So we're working through that project. And also the Sunrise YMCA building in Sunrise. So we're working with them to identify any asbestos, lead-based paint, and working toward cleanup on this building. And Christina, do you want to do the Lita site since you were
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, the Lita site, so they actually had an old agricultural facility that they wanted to work on putting that into a new business park. And I don't know, can you guys see this document that I just pulled into the screen, or does that show up?
No, I just see the site.
Okay. I might have to reshare
Okay.
that to go through. Let me share the screen. So the LIDA site actually has this is a report for them, and they had a couple existing lots and wanted to do an expansion. So we were able to do a phase 1 and then actually do a planning study on that site, put together the reuse vision for them along with community context. And you can see there's the zoning maps, environmental considerations and review, and then a new design for that area along with where their roads and streets would go, parking, and all the other pieces that they needed. So they were able to move forward with getting the funding that they needed from the city to move that project forward.
Perfect.
Let's go back to the other one.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. Good deal.
There's a little zoom in on those pictures. There's fairgrounds for Wyoming County.
Yeah, we're in process with that. We just received the phase 1 ESA, and I think that we'll be scheduling more work out there, including asbestos evaluation, the grant strategy, proformas, development sketches. Looks like electrical and plumbing evaluation as well. So quite a bit of
those are done. So yeah, their grandstands is in pretty bad shape, as many of you know, if you've been out to the Albany County Fairgrounds. And so that's something that's a big priority for them. And there's potential asbestos all underneath the grandstands that needs to be determined whether that needs to be removed if they're going to replace those.
Right. Masonic Lodge. This was another lodge, like Christina mentioned, similar to the one in Laramie. We did do a redevelopment strategy for them and provided some information, which was I think a good example. If you have a large building that you'd like to see reused, this could be a good template for that.
Yeah, I'll show you guys a few pictures here, and then I can show you what the kind of the report looks like for this. But they're looking at potentially doing affordable housing using the lodge, and then also having some separate units out here in the future. So we were able to put together a report for them. Share that with you guys so you can see what that looks like. That kind of had a reuse vision. This one didn't have a full economic proforma on it because the owners weren't exactly sure what their final reuse was going to be. But based on the housing, we were able to do a few numbers for them and kind of get them moving forward. You can see like a little, I don't know, 3D sketches and some other things.
Yeah, those are super nice. And so that also illustrates another point, while we hope that these documents and this work helps move these sites forward, ultimately there's no commitment if things don't quite pencil out like we all hope. Well, projects have a way of circling back, that information is there. Hopefully it's useful in the future. But if it doesn't, move forward right away, it's fine. So there's no formal commitment. You don't have to sign a contract with us. It's with the expectation that we hope these things come to fruition. And there we are. And I think we're right on time. So please let us know if you have any questions or if you have a site that you'd like to chat about. We're always open to that.
That's helpful. Thank you both, Christina and Cindy.
Thank you.
I have just the first question to kick off, and we'll see if other folks have any as well. But as far as enhancing or advancing the access to this information, because obviously not all of our members were able to be on today's call. Where's the best place to get resources for this, so we can make sure that as many folks know about this opportunity as possible? Because I know you all have done a lot of work in that space, but how can we be a conduit within our own communities and so forth to let folks know of this resource?
We're certainly happy for you to send these presentations out as well. We do have some of our information posted on our DEQ website.
We have a handful of like informational sheets
right.
that you can have access to, like a 101 or a building owner just sheet. And so there's a variety of different options there.
Right. Yeah. There's information on the website, but it doesn't fully explore the options. But maybe the presentation, if you want to if it's possible, no, it's not in PDF, but we can send you a PDF so it's easier to email and get it out to folks.
We have the video too, Brad, if that's something you want to.
Yeah. Right.
That video match. And we also have postcards, I think, if anybody needs postcards.
Yeah, we do have postcards. They're
linked to all the
pretty
information on the website. So
Awesome. Thank you both. And then opening up to the rest of the call, are there any questions on the information presented by Cindy and Christina?
And if you want to just think about it for a while and just give us a call if something comes to mind, feel free.
I have a quick question, and this might be something you can answer, but we'll see, or can't answer, but as far as like stats and things like that, you guys obviously do work all throughout Wyoming. Do you know how many communities you've, I guess, helped and like how many jobs you've potentially created by any chance? Because it sounds like you guys do just work all over Wyoming, well, in the US, but pretty cool, and I'd be interested to see the impact as well.
Oh no,
we've got jobs so far, Zach, but we don't. But just because we've only been going for what, Cindy, like about less than a year now.
Yeah, about I think just over a year since since we started on the work. The grant was awarded in 22, but the contract with AIRS and WWC was released early March of 23. So we don't have any leveraging stats yet, but that's certainly something that we would like to track, or jobs created, funds leveraged. Those are important numbers to have. But yeah, we do have some flyers. I think 50 plus sites in 18 towns and counties have used SPURR so far in the last year.
Wow.
We've done 6 assessment types, and of course keep in mind these projects are in varying stages.
Right.
Right. Initiated or investigated or reports in progress, that kind of thing.
Sure.
18 visualizations with the help of AIRS, obviously, and they're very talented folks. We've helped with innovative, we think, redevelopment ideas across Wyoming. 12 conferences and webinars, and gosh, it seems like more than that, but but a lot of informal calls and such too. And I thought this was a good number. 13,750 miles traveled by the team in the past year. So
Wow.
definitely hitting the road to get the word out.
Holy smokes. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I was just curious, and holy smokes, you guys blew me out of the water there. 13,000 miles. That's crazy.
I
well,
would guess it's more than that. And that
no
was just
kidding.
back in the napkin calculation based
Oh
on
my gosh.
before we figure out.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys. And yeah, if there's any more questions from the rest of the group, please have at it. That was my only question. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Zach.
Looks like we maybe lean on questions, which is totally fine, because
That's totally
it was
fine.
a great presentation. But once again, just want to thank you both, Cindy and Christina, not only for the presentation today, but the work you're doing. I think it's going to have an awesome impact across the state. So looking forward to seeing where it goes from here. And
Absolutely. Oh, there you go. Thanks, Christina. Yeah, that's our little we've done this flyer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, thank you again, and thanks to everybody for joining. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you on next month's call.